And that these verses emerged from the space above. The conqueror's field is a wondrous field, a wholesome field and well prepared. Any seed planted in it will not go to waste at all. The conqueror's field is a pure land. The teachings of the Buddha are praised. In order to embrace all beings, the teacher also makes the means. Though he abides in the sphere of nirvana, he appears upon the face of the earth. After perpetually pacifying the world, Buddha purifies the objects given. He liberates the young beings. He liberates the old ones too, from the three realms gradually. He frees all beings completely. He closes the doors to the hells. He liberates animals and pretas. Having made peace in this world, he creates happiness in the next. Then the Blessed One display a smile and say, "It is excellent to see those who are excellent, and seeing Buddhas is excellent. The holy Dharma, a field of qualities, this also is excellent. To see the Sangha assembled is excellent. The teaching of the Sanghata is also excellent. Destroying misdeeds is excellent." And that's the Bodhisattva, the great being Vajrayana, bowed down with his palms together toward the Blessed One and said to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, what is the reason for smiling, and what are the conditions?" The Blessed One said, "Child of the lineage, do you see these young sentient beings?" He said, "Blessed One, I see them, Sanghata, I see them." The Blessed One said, "By Vajrayana, all of them will be established on the 10 grounds on this very day." Then the Bodhisattva, the great being Vajrayana, remains in the sky above at a height of 80,000 yojanas, and 80,000 million devas release a rain of flowers on the Blessed One. The young sentient beings too make prostrations with palms joined. Then the Bodhisattva, the great being Vajrayana, said these words while remaining in the sky above. He fills the galaxy of 1,000,000,000 world systems with sound. The sentient beings born in the 32 great hells hear the sound. The 32 types of devas hear that sound. The galaxy of 1,000,000,000 world systems also trembled in 6 ways. In the great oceans, 84,000 nagas were also shaken. 30,000 million Rakshasas came to this planet. 25,000 million Pretas, Yakshas and Raksasas came from the royal city of Adakavati. And this huge assembly gathered before the Blessed One. Then the Blessed One taught the Dharma to the young sentient beings, and 100,000 million bodhisattvas came from the world systems of the 10 directions, each by their own supernatural power. At that, the Bodhisattva, the great being Vajrayana, bowed down, placing his palms together toward the Blessed One, and said to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, many are the bodhisattvas that have gathered and are here. Sanghata, there are many. Blessed One, many too are the devas and nagas that have gathered and are here. From the royal city of Adakavati, many millions of Rakshasas also arrived, assembled and are here." Then the Blessed One said to the Bodhisattva, the great being Vajrayana, "Child of the lineage, come down." At that, the Bodhisattva, the great being Vajrayana, descended from the space. above by supernatural powers, placed his palms together and bowed down toward the Blessed One. He said to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, the mass of Dharma, the mass of Dharma that is spoken of, Blessed One, of what extent is this mass of Dharma?" The Blessed One said, "Child of the lineage, it is called the mass of Dharma when one unequivocally strives for celibacy, and also when, having unequivocally striven for celibacy, one abandons all wickedness. Child of the lineage, do you see the young beings who, having abandoned impure conduct, will undoubtedly attain Dharani, and will also all become endowed with all the Dharmas?" He said, "Blessed One, by what means are all these many sentient beings gathering and listening to the mass of Dharma?" At that, the Blessed One said to the Bodhisattva, the great being Vaishashasena, "Vaishashasena, most sentient beings do not hear that birth as such is suffering. They do not hear that aging as such is suffering. They do not hear that sickness as such is suffering, that sorrow is suffering, weeping is suffering, separation from loved ones and coming into contact with what is disagreeable is suffering. Death, after all these sufferings, steals away body and life. Vaishashasena, these are what are called all sufferings." Then those young sentient beings, having heard this teaching, bowed down with their palms together toward the Blessed One and said to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, we too will die?" The Blessed One said, "You and all sentient beings will die." They said, "Blessed One, how will our time of death bear down on us?" The Blessed One said, "Children of the lineage, at the time of death, at the last moment of consciousness, there is a wind called causing cessation of consciousness, a wind called confusing the consciousness, and a wind called disturbing the consciousness. And children of the lineage, at the time of death, in the final moment of consciousness, these three winds will stir up, they will confuse, and they will cause disturbances." They said, "Blessed One, what are the three winds that destroy the body at the time of death, when the consciousness ceases?" The Blessed One said, "Friends, weapon, compelling, and injuring cause the destruction of the body." They said, "Blessed One, what sort of thing is this that is called the body?" The Blessed One said, "Friends, it is also called completely ablaze, burnt, mucus, belching, cremation ground, vile mind, a heavy burden, tortured by birth, violently shaken by birth, tormenting one's life force, and causing death and separation from loved ones. Friends, these are what is called the body." They said, "Blessed One, how does one die? How does one live on?" The Blessed One said, "Friends, what is called consciousness dies. Long-lived ones, what is called merit lives on. Friends, what is called the body dies. Bound with millions of sinews, endowed with 84,000 pores, connected with 12,000 parts, and supported by 360 bones, 84 types of parasites live inside the body, and there is death for all these living beings. There is death, which is cessation. When a person dies, all those living beings also have their hopes dashed. Then, because all the living beings eat one another, this moves and disturbs the winds. At that time, they will experience suffering. Some will grieve for their sons, some will grieve for their daughters, some will grieve for their companions. They will all be pierced by agonizing pains. They will try to eat one another, and then when they have eaten one another, two living beings are left, and these two fight for 7 days. After 7 days have passed, one living being is destroyed, the other is freed. Long-lived ones, if you should wonder what it is that is called Dharma, what do you think? Just as these living beings clashed with one another and then died, in the same way, childish ordinary individuals also clash with one another. They are not frightened by birth. They are not frightened by aging. They are not frightened by sickness. They are not frightened by death. Just as the two living beings fought, so too do childish ordinary individuals fight one another. Then, at the time of death, virtuous people say to them, "Person, in what are you trusting? Have you not seen even the slightest shortcomings? Have you not seen the shortcomings of birth? Have you not seen the shortcomings of aging and sickness? Have you not seen the shortcomings of death?" They said, "Long-lived ones, we have seen the shortcomings of birth, and we have seen the shortcomings of aging and sickness. We have seen the shortcomings of death too. At the end of it all," they said, "Why did you not engage in activities to create roots of virtue? Why did you not create the roots of virtue of the mass of Dharma that increases happiness in both worlds? Friends, I ask a second time, why did you not create the collection of virtue that would emancipate you completely from birth and death? Why did you not make any investigation as to where you should correctly direct your attention? How did you not hear the sound of the beating of the gong on the earth? Have you not seen the sowing of seeds in the field of the Tathagata, and the giving of incense, garlands, and lamps? Have you not seen as well the offering of food and drink to the Tathagata, or the contentment of the 4 groups of followers, bhikshus, bhikshunis, male holders of lay precepts and female holders of lay precepts? These 4 groups of followers who are fully devoted to the teachings? They will speak like that to him and make accusations in order to benefit him. And, Your Majesty, you did not do even the slightest thing. Man, after coming to this planet Earth, you have committed non-virtuous actions. At that time, the Dharma King granted teachings to the dead person in verses. You have seen the Tathagata arise and heard the beating of the gong. You have heard the teaching of Dharma that goes to the peace of Nirvana. Nevertheless, you did not act. At that, the man spoke in reply. I was of a childish mind, coming under the sway of wicked friends. With a mind befuddled by desire, I committed wicked acts. I followed my desires as well, and took the lives of living beings. I wasted even what belongs to the Sangha. Unbearable is the fruit that comes from that. With a mind that would do harm, I caused the destruction of stupas. I uttered too abusive words. Even my mother I tormented. Of what I did with my body, the shortcomings I recognize. In the great hell of lamenting, extremely unbearable rebirths I see. I will feel the sensations of crushing hell. Likewise, I will experience sensations in the extremely hot hell and the unbearable Mahavichi. Split open in great lotus hell, and as a hell being into these sufferings, in the greatly fearsome, marked with black lines. I will be born 100 times. After they are killed, hell beings again will see those frightful things. Over and over they will fall 100 yojanas into great dangers, and they will not find any way out. Later, they will plunge into darkness, in the hell that bears the name Razor. 1,000 razors will arise. They will be born in front of razors, in the hundreds of thousands of millions. Due to faulty deeds I have done, my body will be sliced by them. The body will be destroyed completely by unbearable great and churning winds. Continually in hells like this, I will experience suffering. All these beings will see me, my body, in tremendous pain. I took away others' wealth as well, in order to sustain my household. O my sons and my daughters, brothers and sisters, similarly, father, mother likewise too, many friends and relatives and servants and laborers and cattle, livestock and assistants. I went astray toward aims that were bad. For vessels of gold and silver, and likewise for soft, fine garments, and setting out to make a home. Through all of this, I went astray. A very splendid house I built, with men and women lounging about. I went astray through the lute and cymbal, my uncontrolled mind filled with delight. Though my body was washed in scented waters, even now it still lacks gratitude. Body, you are mindless, but for your sake I went astray. In the future, not one soul being will become my protector, when a great and churning wind unbearably ravishes my body. Likewise, I ate exquisite, tasty foods, savoring variety with my tongue. Around my head were bound extremely many well-made garlands, lovely ones. By beauty my eyes were led astray. There is no protection for the eyes. The eyes are the cause of those misdeeds I committed after I had seen. My ears are the cause for which hands were torn and cut by diamonds. On both my arms were fastened bracelets. Rings were placed upon my fingers. About my throat were strands of pearls. Even both legs were heavily adorned. Chain anklets were fashioned for them, and on them too there rested gold. My body had diverse gems upon it, and likewise too were bands of gold. Amusing myself with my great wealth, my mind became extremely attached. Once I had touched very smooth things, with strong craving I kept them close. I also placed my body atop a variety of carpets and bathings. After bathing in excellent fragrant waters, I anointed my body with fragrance. I scented the air with incense, a divine camphor and sandalwood. I beautified my complexion. I daubed myself lavishly with musk. After anointing myself with scented antique oils and jasmine and champaka flowers, I clothed myself in garments of fine white Benares muslin. After coming down from the back of an elephant, I mounted atop the back of a horse. I thought of myself as a king. People scurried in front of me. I was excessively familiar with female attendants who were highly trained in song and dance. Wild animals who had done no harm, with arrows I struck and killed. Because I did not know of future lives, I committed wicked acts like this. I ate the flesh of other beings, and thus this suffering of mine will become unbearable. But I did not understand death. I was of a childish mind, and so I nourished my body. Now that death has come to me today, I have no one at all as a protector. All you friends and relatives, why do you look into my face? For what do you wear tattered mourning clothes? For what do you weep and lament out loud? For what do you loosen and dishevel your hair? For what do you draw blood and grieve? For what do you scatter dust about the head? For what do you beat your breast? During my lifetime, I ought to have abandoned wickedness. Why are you in anguish? My body has become the food of jackals, dogs, crows, and birds. It is of no use to nourish this body. It is the property of the serpent of death, and thus a person will continually be born. The medicine that frees one from this fear, that is the sort of medicine to take. The medicine that the doctors gave, that is not of use to me. Give me now, at my dying time, the medicine of Dharma that sets one free from the serpent of the delusions. Do not give flesh to me, though this body has been nurtured so. It will be destroyed inevitably, since it bestows suffering. Why take up this heap of wickedness? This body, though tended with great care, will engage its vicious acts.